Oprah Winfrey is North America's first black billionaire and is considered by many to be the most influential woman in the world. She went from being born into poverty in rural Mississippi to a teenage single mother to now being worth $2.7 billion. And today we're going to learn her best advice on how you can become the master of your own fate. Rise and shine, it's Entspresso time.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and every morning I bring you a shot of Entspresso to help you believe in yourself more and start your day with confidence. So good morning, I believe in you. Grab your coffee and let's do this. Over to you, Oprah Winfrey.
There's a bigger dream waiting for you, just waiting for you to step into it. To step into it. Your life is big. Your life is huge. And we spend so much time wanting to be in somebody else's life. And you don't get honored, you don't get revered, you don't get celebrating wanting what somebody else has, because that which created you, divine intelligence that dreamed you from before your ancestors ever knew they would become your ancestors, that which dreamed the seed of you, wants you to know how special, how wondrous, how mysterious, how complex, how glorious, how phenomenal you are. And you get no credit messing in somebody else's territory or trying to have power over something you have no control. Another one of my favorite teachings is The Wizard of Oz. When the Wicked Witch of the West says, go away from here because you don't have any power here, you have no power in any territory other than your own. Oh, but you are the master of that. You get to be the master of your own fate. You get to be the captain of your own soul. And if you just manage that, if you just took care of your territory, oh, the glorious, 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 wondrous opportunities and possibilities that are waiting for you. So the question is, what are you resisting? What are you pushing against? What are you not allowing? What are you blocking because you have this idea of who and what you're supposed to be, instead of leaning into the dream that's already been created and waiting for you? It's waiting for you. And the second, it's an instant thing. It's a shift in the way you see yourself and the power from which you have come.
Here's part of a letter that Oprah Winfrey wrote to her younger self. Dear beautiful brown-skinned girl, I look into your eyes and see the light and hope of myself. She tells herself that she's almost 20 and reflects on her just being hired as a reporter for a TV station. She's scared that she'll be unable to handle her classwork and career, but most of all, she's worried about her relationship. He seems less than impressed. She's worried, she's doubting herself, and it's not the first or last time that she'll play small based off of someone else's opinion of her. She's frustrated that she doesn't love herself and instead finds love by doing what other people want her to do. She wrote, a lesson you will have to learn again and again, to see yourself with your own eyes, to love yourself from your own heart. It came from her past. She was raped, molested, and whipped for not doing as she was told, and she wasn't allowed to show any emotions to her family. As a result, she has no self-esteem and tries to please others to find worthiness. But she ends with love and encouragement for herself. She wrote, from where I sit now, viewing your journey, there are a few regrets. Only months before this picture was taken, you wrote a poem about a woman becoming. Even then, you understood that success was a process and that moving with the flow of life and not against it would be your greatest achievement. Love you deeply, Oprah. I love the beautiful ending to the letter. For Oprah, it shows heart, it shows compassion, it shows hope. The close of a letter to yourself is the most powerful because it's usually what you need the most. Let me give you my take on Oprah's letter to herself. Everything Oprah wrote still applies to her life right now. At the core of her message is loving herself for her own heart. So let's say Oprah's who is heart. Let's define her credo as you have a higher calling that will sustain and fill you, purpose. You are a woman becoming, change. You must move with the flow of life, action. So heart equals purpose, change, and action. That outline would have given her 20-year-old self more confidence. How should she handle this new job as a reporter? How should she deal with the boyfriend who is intimidated by her success? How should she stop seeing herself through the eyes and love herself? Through heart, through purpose, through change, and action. Go back to when she was younger. How should she handle years of her family wanting her to be something she's not? What should she do when she is raped? When she is told not to step out of place? When she is not allowed to show anger or cry? Same thing. Heart. Love yourself through your eyes. Know you have a purpose. You must change. You need to act. But this isn't just a letter looking backwards. Everything in the letter is still applicable to Oprah today. Yes, she's not a brand new reporter anymore. Yes, she's not getting abused anymore. She certainly has allowed herself to cry and show her heart. But for as much success as Oprah Winfrey has had, she's not done. Not by a long shot. There is still a huge mountain ahead of her, and she's going to be unhappy if she doesn't climb it, because she's about heart. For someone like that, they're never done. They just continue to slay bigger dragons and continue to stretch their comfort zone. I love Oprah. She's done so much, and it's nothing compared to what she will do if she stays true to her who. Your who is aspirational, but scary. It's a standard to live up to. It's a lifelong journey, and to stay on it, you must constantly remind yourself of who you are. Also, if you want to have unstoppable confidence and self-love, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
Your number one job is to become more of yourself. They think that success is supposed to happen like that. Become so skilled, so vigilant, so flat out fantastic at what you do that your talent cannot be dismissed.
I shared that story because I get asked a lot on different interviews that I do, what would you tell your younger self? It's probably one of the top 3 most asked questions. If you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self or 20-year-old self or whatever number people pick, you can go back and talk to your younger self. What would you say? What would you do? What would the conversation be like? And I used to hate this question because I can't go back. I don't think backwards. I don't think of how I could have changed things because it's not possible. But then I learned to actually love this question because it's highly practical, and let me tell you why. I would always answer, the only answer to that question is your who. The only answer to that question is whatever your most important core value is, your who. Mine is believe. Whatever yours is, that's the lesson that the younger version of you needed. You needed to remember that. You needed to grow from that. You needed to learn from that. And so my message to 18-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old Evan would be believe in yourself more. Believe that you can do it. Believe that you're capable. Believe that's going to work out. Believe in yourself more. And same thing for you. If you've gone through the who, why, how exercise and built to serve, your who is the lesson that your younger self needs. So I say I used to hate that question. And I would answer just to be polite to the people who are interviewing me, but I ended up learning to love that question. Why? Because whatever message you would give your younger self is still the message you need right now. Evan, at the time of making this video, at 40 years old, would tell 20-year-old Evan to believe in himself. 80-year-old Evan, if he was to come back and talk to today's 40-year-old Evan, it's the same message. Evan, believe in yourself more. Believe that you can. Believe that you're capable. Believe that it will work out. And so all of a sudden, the question that I used to maybe not hate the most, but didn't feel as practical, became the most practical of all time. And that's the value of figuring out your who, your single most important core value, because it's a thread throughout your entire life. It will not change. I will be 80-year-old Evan and still wanting to believe in others and to believe in myself more. The biggest blind spot, the biggest thing that's holding me back at 40, at 80 will still be a lack of belief in myself, just on a bigger scale, just at a bigger level. That's all. You never fully slay the dragon. You just are capable of slaying bigger dragons. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is, beyond the mountain is more mountains. The goal is never to get to the top of the mountain. You want to climb forever. And when you get to the top of the mountain, what do you see? More mountains. Continue the climb, continue the journey, continue the growth, figure out what your who is, and your entire life changes. Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know your single biggest takeaway from this video and how you plan on taking action. When you schedule in what day, what time, what place you're going to take action, you have a 91% chance of following through versus just a 35% chance if you got motivated but never created your plan. And when you share your plan and you have a little bit of accountability, you're even more likely to follow through. So in the comments below, I want to know your single biggest takeaway and your plan of action to make a change in your life. Let me know. Put it below.
I was bartending at night, waiting tables, doing assistant work. Like I was basically working 24/7. You know, in the evenings and weekends, it was all, how can I just make money to pay my rent and put food on the table? And in the days, I was really working my buns off, trying to create content, create a newsletter, get coaching clients, actually start working with people. And when I got engaged really young, I was about 23 years old, and the guy was a sweetheart, but I realized pretty quickly I didn't want to marry him. This was not the person I was meant to spend the rest of my life with. But we lived in this tiny one-room studio in the West Village, and our money was already commingled. And so I was terrified because I felt like I made this huge mistake. Here I am trying to become a life coach, and clearly I have a lot to figure out about life. I knew I needed to get out of this relationship, but I didn't know how to untangle what I had created, this big mess. And so I knew once I broke off that engagement, I needed to actually physically leave that environment. That was the only way I was going to get to move on. And so I called my parents in New Jersey and I said, I hate to say this, but I have to move home. I was so upset. I just felt like a total failure. I felt like a horrible person for breaking this guy's heart. And it was a mess. Like I just felt like such a failure on every single level. The fact that I couldn't support myself yet, the fact that I had to go back to Jersey, the fact that I felt like I, did a number on this guy's life. And it was really humbling. But, at the end of that, it made me realize I'm more committed than ever to figure out what it takes to make my life work, and then also to be able to share those lessons with other people. So hopefully they didn't have to go through the mess that I created. If I could save people a learning curve, that was gonna be awesome. And I think I was home maybe like 2 or 3 months, something like that. Emotionally, I had to heal and just kind of get myself resituated and find a new living, a place to live in the city and get back on my feet. But it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because it got me regrounded in my own power and made me realize that if everything falls apart, which it sometimes does, there's always a way to get back on your feet.
If you want to change your life in the next 30 days, check out my free training right here below. Or if you want to learn how Oprah says to really listen, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy them. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.